I'm graduating. And I thought it would be different at the spot. I thought for some reason there would have been a smile on my face, or some feeling of triumph along the way. But triumph is far from what I feel, and I'm not even sure where the smile will come from. I do feel so many other things though. One side of me feels fucking tired and wants to give up at every moment. Another side of me feels confused at how to even process this experience. And another side of me feels angry. So angry at myself for watching bullshit and watching people produce bullshit and enabling bullshit. Yeah, nothing in me feels triumphant. I do feel the need to say something though. And at the same time, I feel afraid to speak to the people who need to hear it the most. I fear they would tear me limb from limb. I think they may hear truth as disrespect, and so I've been taking many moments to myself trying to craft the best, the most strategic way on how to say the realness of what I need to say. And I think it starts like this. I am graduating. And instead of thinking about the future that is to come, I find myself deep in reflection. I remember sitting outside in 10th grade, and the only company I had besides misery was God. Residing in my heart was disgust and an inability to process what was happening with humanity. I was 16, and all I could see were people who were deeply unhappy with life. Drugged and unpresent, distracted followers, people who were not people. People who, by some means of abuse and pain, became zombies, and I became so unhappy when I thought life was this way. And I thought that if life was this way, then I wanted no part of it. So, by several means, I tried to disappear. I started doing drugs. I had an eating disorder. I was working out like crazy. And I say this not for the pity, but I believe that if y'all know my history, then you will know where I come from and what I carry with me to this finish line. And I remember being so angry with my father at the time, because when I was little, he always told me, nothing in life is free. And for some reason, I made it my life's journey to see if that was true or not. At the time, as a 16-year-old, I thought it was true. And I thought, well, why should we live then if we can't be free? What's the point? And while that question swam in my head, I found myself at a summer program with the ART. They took us into the theater for a tour and my eyes started glistening. I should say, at that time, I was always listening. I thought that listening was better than talking about things I believe people can understand. But in that theater, in that dark room with the stage and a few pretty lights, a light flickered inside of me, and I started speaking, and I started eating cookies, and I stopped doing drugs. And I wanted to tell my dad that I had found the one thing that is free in life. And what I found were emotions, an abundance of them. And the more acting I did, the more the sadness was slowly leaking out of me like a fart. That's for you, Mauricio. And I decided to give all of myself to the one thing that gave me meaning. Because that's the only way I know how to say thank you. To give. And then I came to college, believing that this would be the place where everyone would give all of themselves to theater. and they told me we would have a performance each semester. And I was down. Like, I was so down. But no one told me what they had meant by the word performance. I performed when I removed the word nigga from my vocabulary. And that sucks because that's one of my favorite words. Nigga. I performed when I removed all emotion from my face. I remember my brother looking at me recently and he said, Nelly, why does your face look like that? That's not you. And I wanted to say, I know, Taryn. I know this is not me, but this is what I had to do to get through this experience. But instead I just replied, man, shut up. I performed when I sat in theater history class taking notes that storytelling started in Greece. I performed when I gave Torrin a platform to tell me how he believes white men will become the minority. I performed when J. Cole and Lauryn Hill's rhythm and blues were replaced by Shakespearean sonnets. And don't get me wrong, I fucks with my nigga Shakespeare heavy. But the performance wasn't acting like the structure of verse was news to me. I performed when they ate cake and I ate it with them. I performed when they walked in a straight line, fell 3 times and called it the revolution. And I was like, yeah, bro, I definitely see that by the way you lifted your right leg. I performed when their lines weren't memorized for the show, and I was like, don't worry, bro, you're gonna get it during the show. I performed when they yelled at teachers and I tried to understand both sides. I performed when I showed up to class sick as fuck, and they had the nerve to ask me, well, why'd you come to class? And I wanted to be like, nigga, what? We act when we're sick. We act when we're tired. We act when we're lazy. We act when we're happy. We act when we're sad. We act under any circumstance because we're human in any circumstance. But instead, I just kept to my sick-ass self. I performed. But no one told me that I would be losing myself to do so. I mean, the cultural sacrifice is a given, right? Like, I could have guessed that was going to happen. But I was willing to sacrifice those things because culture can always come back. Like one time, I remember we were playing King's Cup on Thanksgiving, and my cousin Aaron said some shit like, yo, your fro looks like a fucking piece of broccolini. And I was like, yeah, but that's why you got a fat ass neck, bitch. The culture can always come back. But there's a difference between a sacrifice and losing something. A sacrifice is a choice. Losing something is not. I performed. And what I found from that performance were people who gave excuses. What I found was absolute laziness. What I found were people who asked for a challenge and then when given one would complain at any instant. What I found were people who were not empathetic enough to understand that they had caused someone pain. What I found were people who shit on theater with every piece of poop in their body and called that love. And those people would dare say that they love me too. And I mean, like, that's the same rhetoric abusers use. This is the way that I love you. Yeah, well, fuck you. You can keep that love to yourself. I remember for capstone, I got an A-, and I was so pissed off about that. I was ranting and raving to my girlfriend Kaylee, being like, can you believe this shit? A fucking A-. And she couldn't understand where the rage was coming from. She's like, Shanelle, it's an A. You got an A. And I was like, yeah. But what the fuck does that minus part mean, though? I did 2 whole shows, devised a piece all by myself, performed in one for 6 weeks straight, took 5 classes, started summer break a month later to get the same grade as someone who just did some shit, as someone who just put some shit up in a week. And she replied, you ever think the standard is different for you? And I said, yes. And that's the problem. The standard is different. one thing I love in life for some bullshit, and that's some bullshit. On the brink of my graduation, I really could have left without anything. I could have been a zombie. But somehow, I stand here now and I feel like I got this secret that no one knows about, Like nowadays, I just be like walking down the street, just laughing and singing at anything that passes me by. And I saw Tina Packer the other day, and she said to me, "You just look wonderful, dog. Just absolutely wonderful." I said, "I am, Tina, I am!" And I wanted to thank her for introducing me to a world of people who truly care about healing. And I saw Teresa Lane the other day, and I wanted to thank her for wanting to change the world with me. And I saw Mauricio Salgado the other day, and I wanted to thank him for, no pun intended, gassing up the flame inside me. And I saw Kaylee the other day, and I wanted to thank her for cheering me on in all my rebellion. And I saw Steven the other day, and I wanted to kiss that nigga's bald ass head and thank him for being the sanity in my insanity. And I saw my mom the other day, and I wanted to thank her for giving me a hug through many, many painful nights, but still telling me to take the adventure anyway. And I saw Shamarke the other day, and I wanted to thank him for believing that I'm not crazy. I'm not. And I saw Sonia the other day, and I wanted to thank her for telling me the truth, for being honest. And I saw Ty the other day, and I wanted to thank her for telling me to say yes to love